Welcome back, y'all. It's your girl Kayla, and we are back with yet another video. You already know, before we even get into it, if you are new here or if you're returning, welcome. I appreciate every single one of y'all who tune into these videos, and so many of y'all have commented on my last video with just so much love and support, and I just thank you all so much. And then a few of you actually gave me a ton of information and recommendations for supplements and tests and things. So thank you so much. I'm actually writing all of that down. I'm trying some of them now to see if it'll make any, changes or if it'll help for my next IUI. And I know everybody doesn't read through the comment list, the comment section. So I am going to link that video, but I'm also going to make another video just sharing some of the recommendations y'all have given, and that'll be coming out fairly soon. So if you are interested in any recommendations like supplements or anything like that for your journey as well, stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so that you are notified as soon as that video goes live. So getting into today's video though, I get this question every once in a blue moon, but now with my cat is going crazy on the side. But now with the influx of people that have been coming through my channel these past few weeks with my second home insemination, I'm getting this question a lot more, and some of y'all have even found my Instagram. I don't blow up my Instagram on here just because I haven't started posting TTC content on there, and I don't know when I will, but I do know I want to. So that's why I have not shared it. But some of y'all have reached out to me on Instagram as well and asked me questions, and so I get this a lot. So I figured, why not answer them? The first one, I'm just jumping into it. The first question that I get the most is for other people who are basically like diagnosed with PCOS or endometriosis, and the question I get the most is, what possessed me basically to go the SMBC route versus waiting for a partner. Now, I've talked about this before in my very first YouTube video, which was a year ago now, which is crazy. But I have a OBGYN who is very familiar with endometriosis and PCOS. It's why I chose her, besides the fact that she also had great reviews. So my OBGYN was pretty blunt with me a few years ago and was just like, with endometriosis, it spreads and it causes complications. So if I want to have kids, I need to seriously start trying within the next 2 to 3 years. And that was about almost 3 years ago. So I took a year to process and really like absorb what she said and decide what I was going to do. I took a year to pray on it and really just think about the decision. And personally, I came to the conclusion my dating life is not that great. I'm not going to bash my exes or anything, but I do have the tendency to basically date the same kind of person over and over again, even though I try not to. So it doesn't always work out. And the prospects that are out there are not great. So it's just kind of like I can't really control when I find my future partner. I can't. But I can't control, or at least I thought, when I have kids. And I also had to think about, if I decide that I'm going to wait for a partner, and this is what it really boiled down to. If I decide to wait and it takes 5 years or 10 years, however long, if I decide to wait And then I do find a partner and we do start to try, but my endometriosis has spread so much so that I am now completely infertile. IVF can't even help me. Would I be okay? If I cannot get pregnant and have biological kids of my own, would I be able to live with that? And for me personally, the answer is no. I know me, I know myself, and I know that if I could not have biological kids of my own, or at least go down fighting and trying, I knew that I would not be happy. And I would probably go into a depression that would last for who knows how long. And that's just me. There are other people who, they find out and they're just like, I can have kids or I can go without. It doesn't bother me. It's not a big thing. Um, you know, or there's those people who they don't care. I have a biological child or I adopt. Me personally, I've always wanted to do both. But I knew if I don't have a biological child, this is something that, if I don't experience pregnancy, this is something that I've wanted since I can remember. It's the one consistent thing that stayed with me. So that's what that was my major deciding factor. Would I be happy? And the answer is no. And when I made the decision, okay, I'm moving forward with all of this, and decided, all right, I'm going to start my TTC journey, I got every sign, starting with that day and that week, and just repeatedly afterwards, that this was what I was supposed to do, and this is the route that I was supposed to take. It's not orthodox. It's not the traditional route. It's not what I had planned, because yes, I very much so wanted to be married, have a house, be in my career, definitely be completely done with grad school, and a doctoral program before trying to have kids. But life doesn't always turn out how we thought it would be. And when I was just in high school, silently dealing with these symptoms, when I was 18, going to the doctor and going through all these tests and false diagnoses, until I got this, nobody was telling me that endometriosis would affect my fertility. I did some research when I got the diagnosis, and I think both of my parents did. I know my dad did, and my mom, she's like me. I'm like her, so I'm sure she did. So when we got the diagnosis, my doctor at the time did not tell me, oh, this is going to affect your ability to get pregnant down the road. There was none of that. It was, all right, we're going to put you on some birth control. Which level of birth control do you want? Do you want the light? Do you want the medium? Do you want the heavy that gives you menopausal symptoms? Which one you want? And that was that. So there wasn't that conversation with my doctor. And thankfully, going into medical assisting back in the day and just really trying to be the advocate for myself that I needed, and being aware of what my diagnosis was and, options for it, I learned that yes, my clock is ticking. I did not know that my clock was ticking significantly faster than the average person. So when my doctor told me that, it was a shock and it was a blow to the chest. But I'm happy. I'm really happy. I'm glad I took the year to really decide on it, and pray about it. And then I spent another year, I'm in that year. I spent another year trying to conceive. So this is that second year that we're in, and it is what it is. You know, I've had my ups and downs, a lot more downs than ups, but I would not change this for the world. And for the people who kind of feel like, oh, she's obsessed with trying to have a baby and, you know, all this. Hopefully, now this kind of puts into perspective, not really obsession, but really just my body is really trying to take away the one dream that I've always had for myself, and I'm fighting back. So I've had some people that say, "Oh, I feel like you're obsessed," and it's just kind of like, okay, I hope this kind of puts that into perspective, and you kind of understand now the importance and where it's coming from. The second question that I get is a lot of you who are in the boat with me of, hey, I don't want my sperm donor to be in my kid's life. How do you have that decision? How do you make that decision? Or, you know, how do you know what's right for you? Blah, 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 XYZ. And some of you, actually quite a few of you also have partners with it, you know, and you're just like, okay, you want to have the sperm donor in their life, your partner doesn't, or the opposite, which you don't want to have the sperm donor in your life and your kid's life, and your partner does. So there's that too. And for me personally, I've decided that I don't want the partner in my child's life. Main reason being custody. I do not ever want to be in a situation where my child's, you know, donor will take me to court trying to fight for custody. I never want to be in a custody battle, ever. And so when I did plan on going through the known donor route, that was one of the things that bothered my donor, which I knew would be a topic of discussion just because of the type of person he is. Part of the reason why I chose him. But, you know, he had an issue with having a biological child out there that wouldn't have his, you know, wouldn't be in his household. And he wouldn't have any custodial rights, any parental rights to the child, even though he'd be able to see the child and the child would know who they were in relation to him growing up in his family. But it felt like he was being robbed of fatherhood if he were to go through that route. And it would be something that he just wasn't comfortable with. So I respected that. So that's why he's not my donor. And there are no hard feelings or anything like that. And what actually kind of helps is the fact that now I can get a donor that is already, you know, screen tested, whatever, and I don't have to worry about any of those hiccups, you know? I don't have to worry about getting a known donor and getting pregnant and then that person going and saying, you know what, I don't want to sign my rights away. Or maybe they don't sign paperwork because we don't talk about it, and then they sue for paternity and try to get custody because, I don't know, maybe they decide they want their kids even though they're not their kids, you know? So I just really want to avoid that. That is something that is very traumatizing to me, just the thought of ever having to deal with a custody battle. So that is why I've chosen not to have my child's donor in their life. And honestly, statistically speaking, my kids are going to be great. They're going to not just be all right and fine, they're going to be well off, because this is one of those things that separates SMBCs that have gone through a TTC journey and people who have just gotten pregnant from their former partner. These are things that you're able to prepare for ahead of time, you know, not just the financial aspect, even though, yes, that is there, but also the mental, psychological aspect. I had to go to therapy. Yes, I'm a therapist, but I've spent plenty of years in therapy, not only working on myself and my faults and things, but also working on who I want to be. So not just healing my past, but deciding who I want to be, what kind of parent I want to be. And if you haven't done that work and you find out you're pregnant, now that timeline is sped up, and you looking at this baby 9 months later, like, all right, we in it together, we finna learn together. So I don't know. It's kind of like one of those things where it's kind of bittersweet. We have the luxury of time, but we also don't have the luxury of time. Um, we don't also have the luxury of being in a loving, committed relationship either. So that's just me personally, why I chose not to um, get a known donor. If things don't work out with my donor, I'm buying up all his vials. So if he just stops donating and I run out, I may have to look up another donor, and maybe I'll consider one of these known donor registries, but I don't really know. It's an option. Not my first option, but it's still an option. I realize this video is getting very, very long, and I don't want to hold y'all. I know y'all enjoy your Sundays. So that is all I have for today. If you have any more questions, or if I didn't answer your question, feel free to put it in the comment box down below, and I will be more than happy to either comment or respond to the comment and answer it there, or if it's something that's more long-winded like today's discussion, I'll let you know that I will be putting that in a video. And even though I have several videos planned that I want to release to y'all, that does get, you guys' requests do get bumped up to the front of the list. So there's that. And if you have not already done so, y'all, don't forget to like this video. Please, please, please always comment down below. I love having discussions with y'all. Hit that subscribe button and that notification bell, and I will see you all next week.